All right, good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping by for a check of your forecast. Hope everyone's doing well today. It was a cold start to the day here in the Texas Panhandle. Had a lot of us down to around 32 to 36 degrees. Had a light patchy frost in our backyard, which again did kind of kill off a few of the garden vegetables. So growing season done. I didn't cover anything up last night. I think I'm kind of done with the gardening season, just letting some of the pumpkins finish off, and we've certainly got plenty of squash for this year as well. So we're pretty well done with our garden. Let me know if you guys are done or if you covered things up, and whether or not you saw a freeze last night or this morning. We're taking a live look outside in Bushland. It is October 21st, year of our Lord 2025. We are close to 4 p.m. here in Amarillo. Again, getting a little early head start for your afternoon update. But temperatures right now, very comfortable. It's a seasonal day for us. We're up to around 70 degrees here in Amarillo, 69 in Borger, 66 in Clovis. Wind speeds are pretty calm. They're around 5 to 15 miles per hour. So a very sunny, very calm day. Good chance to be out there enjoying some of that more fall-like weather. Taking a quick look at our dew points because this is going to be a big key in whether or not we have storm chances later this week. We're going to have to really bring in a lot more moisture than what we have right now. Again, you can see our dew points are in the 20s across the board. So not enough moisture to get storms going today. Probably won't again tomorrow, but by Thursday, we should have some better low level moisture pulling into the area. And that may be out ahead of this next upper level low, and all of these other ingredients are probably going to come together to at least spark that chance for some scattered showers and thunderstorms, some of which might actually be on the severe side as well. So this is something that we're watching and monitoring closely. It looks like it would be more of a marginal severe weather event kind of setup, but with the way that the wind direction's oriented, we could still see maybe some supercell potential. It's not a guarantee, but it is something that's not off the table. And again, as you guys know, supercells are the storm's most prolific at producing a tornado or two. Not all supercells produce tornadoes, though. And again, tornadoes do not look to be a huge concern with this next setup, but it's something that we can't take off of the table. I do think that the damaging wind and more than likely probably hail up to the size of golf balls will be our bigger issues with any storms that do get going here in the Panhandles region that inevitably goes severe. And so that's what we'll try and break down for you. And we're going to try and time some of this stuff out as well. This low is starting to shift in its trend and track, or at least its expected future track. The last 24 hours, a lot of the high resolution model guidance is starting to pull this thing further south. Shocker, I know. That's something that usually happens in that last couple of days as we get into these cutoff lows moving through the desert southwest. One thing to keep in mind is they've had a lot of moisture in the desert southwest with that plume of moisture, a lot of those tropical systems coming through there. Some places seeing like 800% of their monthly precipitation values for the month of October. So they've had a ridiculous amount of rain out there in Arizona, parts of Utah, and southwest Colorado. That might actually bode well for this low to continue to pull in some better moisture from the Pacific. And that's something that I want to kind of show you. This is the level of the atmosphere that I like to look at. A few other meteorologists certainly love to look at this level. And this really is the level that we look at in order for storms to maintain an updraft. This is what we call our 700 millibar layer, which is something that in the higher elevations, like us, is something we need to look at more closely. If you're over along the Gulf Coast, you tend to look a little bit lower, around 850 millibars, but 700 works pretty good for us. If we get storms that are surface based and there's dry air above them in this layer specifically, they tend to die out and struggle to maintain any kind of a stout updraft. So if we have moisture in this layer and we have all the other ingredients for storms and severe weather, this usually is a good indicator on if those storms are going to last any longer than maybe 30 to 45 minutes. So you can see this is about lunchtime on Thursday. You can see the upper level low moving in from the southwest late that afternoon. You can see again, we've got this big plume of moisture wrapping up on the eastern quadrant, or I guess would say eastern half of this low. And you can see the dry slot starting to form in here over the Baja Peninsula and then parts of Arizona. As we get into Thursday night, you can see that moist layer of air starts to center itself over the panhandles. And so as far as timing is concerned, we think the first half of Thursday will be very quiet. We're still going to be waiting for some of that Gulf moisture as well to be pulled in from the southeast. which would probably wait until the afternoon before we start getting to dew points that are in the 50s and the 60s. So this moisture, once it overlaps that lower level moisture, that's usually a good recipe for some storm chances. And so that will probably be staged off or held off until late Thursday evening into Thursday night. Now, as we get further into Friday, the exact track of this low is going to be key. We'll probably still see the dry slot intrude at least over a portion of the area at some point. So we think Friday morning we may get a break in the precipitation. You're probably going to have a lot of clear skies out here. We'll have a dry line set up as well with this dry slot, probably somewhere over in the western half of the Texas, Oklahoma panhandles. As we get into Friday afternoon, it may be another thing to watch is where exactly the dry line sets up, how much moisture is on the east side of it in that moist sector, what's the wind shear look like. We may have another round of strong to severe storms Friday afternoon with that one as well. So here's Thursday's outlook. It's just a marginal risk. Again, it's really conditional. The Gulf moisture is going to be pretty limited. It's going to be what we call just-in-time moisture, where we're in the dew points in 20s and 30s right now. As that low gets closer, we start getting this last-second surge from the Gulf, where we get these dew points in the 50s and maybe even some lower 60s pulled back into the area. That's really, really shallow moisture. If we don't have the moisture aloft above it, storms probably won't get going. And so there is a little bit of an uncertainty on if we can get some surface-based storms to fire on Thursday. I think that's why this is going to be more of a conditional threat day for us. We're not expecting a severe weather outbreak, at least not at this point in time. But if we are going to see storms, and more specifically the severe side, probably will be in the afternoon and evening. I would think at the absolute earliest we have a severe storm would be 2 o'clock. More realistically would be more like 6, 7, or 8 o'clock at night, and probably even later than that, closer to after dark and closer to midnight. Tornado chance very low, but hail looks to be our biggest issue with this event as it swings through later in the week. So let's go ahead and put you through the next 2 days with the computer model. You can see we've got clear skies tonight, should be nice and chilly. We'll fall down into the 30s and 40s, not as bad as it was this morning, but cold enough you'll want the jacket if spending time outside. Moving into the afternoon, we do see a really rapid rebound in temperatures. We'll get into the 70s and those lower 80s, and then we'll start seeing some of that moisture pulled back into the area as we head into your Thursday morning. Again, you can see we still have a north and an east breeze over here in the northern panhandle, so dew points probably going to be very limited. I mean, we're still in the 30s for your temperatures, which again, your dew point can't be any higher than the temperature itself. So again, you can see we've got maybe some better moisture down here in Childress and Paducah with those temps in the 50s, starting to pull back into the region by 8 a.m. on Thursday. As we get into the afternoon, some of that moisture will start to get pulled further and further up into the region, and you can start seeing some of that upper level moisture pulling in from the southwest with some spotty showers coming in around 2 p.m. By 6 o'clock, some of that stuff gets a bit more scattered and numerous in coverage, and then we've got this low starting to kick south and east. Again, you're going to have that dry slot fill in over here. You'll have that moist sector set up over here to the south and east. And eventually, we think there's probably going to be a wraparound band of precipitation that inevitably fills in, but that may not be until Friday evening. And so we may get a break in the rain Thursday night into Friday morning for 6 to 18 hours. And then after that, once the low continues to dive southeast, we'll fall under that wraparound band of precipitation as well. So there may be 2 periods to watch for the chance for rainfall. So here's our chance on Thursday. I think we've got about a 40% probability for Amarillo to see anything measurable through that 24-hour period. I think we may have a better chance Friday. We're just a bit further out. And again, the exact track of that low is going to determine where that wraparound band does set up. Right now, I'm going to stick with a 40% Thursday and 20 on Friday, but I would not be shocked with the way things are trending if that chance for rain goes up drastically on Friday afternoon, if that low does track more southeast rather than west to east. So that'll be another thing to watch. Getting into this weekend, clouds early on Saturday. The afternoon will be really nice and sunny. We'll get up into the upper 60s, pretty calm weather. Winds should be very calm, less than 15 miles per hour. Sunday, much warmer, feeling more summer and spring-like, and then we'll end up with another front coming through next week. It's that time of the year. We don't get moisture pulled in very quickly, and usually the moisture that we do get pulled back in gets washed out with the next front after the next couple of days. But you can see we've got you at 65 for a high on Tuesday. Those winds look to really ramp up with that next storm system as well. And that could be a sharp drop in temperatures Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. There's a handful of mid-range models suggesting that will be our first freeze on Wednesday morning next week across the area. So that'll be another thing to watch if you covered up your garden and again are still trying to extend your growing season. Again, biggest story, biggest topic is going to be that chance for storms Thursday, Friday. Pretty nice weekend. And then we've got another bigger front coming through next week. That is all we have for you this afternoon. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to watch us here tonight at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock.